Travel back in time to the 80s, reliving the advice,
Carpe diem. Seize the day.
the comebacks,
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
and the technology.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? What, a DeLorean?
Because just like you, we're stuck in the 80s.
Can you say stuck in the 80s?
Hey, welcome to Stuck in the 80s. It's your host, Spearsy.
And Brad in L.A.
And today, wait a minute. Are you playing Rock You Like a Hurricane? That's in really bad taste, buddy.
I thought you'd have a sense of humor about the whole Hurricane Irma thing by now, Spearsy.
I'm incarcerated in my house, Lloyd. I have no power, no TV, no air conditioning, no ice for my bourbon.
Point taken. My bad. My bad. Don't forget, Stuck in the 80s is a member of the CLNS Podcast Network. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media mobile app.
So, normally we always start the show and we tell you what the topic's going to be about. And the topic today is not as important as the fact that we're actually able to do a show today.
Amen to that, brother.
The Hurricane Irma came through Florida a couple days ago. I posted the last podcast hours before it hit Orlando. And promptly I lost power, lost cable, lost internet at my house. And the idea of even doing a show this week seemed kind of far-fetched. We were lucky enough to just kind of, talk about it a little bit and say, well, let's try to put together a show. We'll talk about the 5 stormiest moments in 80s movies and just try to have some fun with it.
Yeah, it was either that or I was going to have to do the first of my 7-parter on famous state call-outs in movies. That's the series I really would have done.
Great.
Number 1 would have been Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
that's the obvious one. Oklahoma.
He'll enjoy Oklahoma's wide open spaces. He loves to run and run and run.
It took a real beating because of Hurricane Irma. My fantasy football plan for week 1. By now, you probably know we're pretty psyched to have FanDuel on as a sponsor for our shows.
So wait, you're saying you couldn't play? Is that a forfeit? Do I win automatically?
That's the only way you're going to beat me. No, my power went out and I didn't have internet. So I could probably have done it on my iPhone, but I was trying to conserve my battery. So I sat out week 1 and I still don't have internet at home. We're recording this show from the office. So I don't know if I may have to sit out week 2, but however long it takes me to get my electricity back.
Well, don't sweat it, man, because as you know, with FanDuel, it's a new game every week. You'll still have a dozen or more chances to take me down and win big.
That's true. Plus, it gave me a chance to get to know the players a little bit better. My favorite team hasn't even played a game yet. The Bucks, they're killing me here. But that's kind of what's so cool about FanDuel. It is a new game every single week, hurricane or no hurricane. And because they're a sponsor of Stuck in the 80s, we have a special promo to tell you about in a minute.
Look, we're not the first 2 people to figure out why FanDuel is so cool. More than 2.5 million players have won cash prizes playing FanDuel, and you can start for just $1. Pick a contest, choose your team, and watch your score in real time.
By the way, any word from our listeners on forming a Stuck in the 80s league?
Yeah, while you were busy picking roof shingles up from your yard and pretending to be a middle-ages serf, we got emails from about a dozen different Stuck in the 80s friends who want to form a league.
I did hear that Molly in North Carolina wants in.
She definitely wants in.
Cool, let's make this work.
So email us at podcast@sit80s.com if you're interested in forming a private league with me and Spearsy, the powerless, internetless wonder.
Sign up today at fanduel.com. Just click the Join Now button and use our code RADICAL. New users get free entry into the NFL Sunday Million with over $1 million in cash prizes when you make your first deposit on FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com and sign up with promo code RADICAL. That's FanDuel.com, promo code RADICAL, void where prohibited.
You know what else is prohibited here, Spearsy? No more whining about hurricanes.
dude, come on. I have no internet at home. I've been sitting around work for 12 hours today waiting for you to get off so we could record this show. This whole episode is basically about being dark in the 80s.
Well, I guess you got a point there, my friend.
So here's the idea here. Brad and I have come up with our top 5 stormy moments of the 80s. Think of this as a voodoo doll for future hurricanes. Nothing scientific here. Nothing scientific. It was hard, actually, because the thing is, I mean, disaster movies are not an 80s thing.
Yeah, it's not an 80s phenomenon. You got your airport, you got your spoofs of them, like Airplane, but Airport, those movies were all in the 70s. Poseidon Adventure, all in the 70s.
Right. And then after the 80s, disaster movies made a comeback. You started getting Castaway. There was a Poseidon remake.
Yeah.
There was, 21
stuff like
2012.
The Day After, or what is it? The next tomorrow when the climate changes
Day After
overnight.
Tomorrow.
Whatever it's called. Yeah.
We're chock full of disaster movies again, but for some reason, like the 80s were like a disaster-free zone. So
too many real life disasters that we didn't want to be entertained by disasters. We were all like worried about getting bombed to oblivion.
Well, and it's funny because here I am. It's 30 years after the 80s, and I'm dealing with I was without power for 3 days after Hurricane Irma rolled through. When I finally got power, it was like Christmas morning. I was so happy. I was dancing around.
Like, I've returned to the 19th century.
Yeah. When you have no internet and you have no power and you have no roommate, basically all it comes down to is me staring at the wall for like 20 hours a day.
So next time this happens, I'm sending you some books, like some honest-to-God paper books.
No, I found one called The Impossible Fortress. I don't hold on
Fahrenheit
to books.
451 all over again.
I don't hold on to books, but I found this one that I got sent a review copy of something called The Impossible Fortress, and it's
oh yeah, that looks great.
It does, and it's like Ready Player One without the science fiction, and it's a good book. So I started reading that, and that thankfully. Got the time to pass, and then
that's cool.
Yesterday I came in and I started conceiving this idea, the stormy moments of the 80s. So it wasn't easy. We tried to make these as naturally disastrous as possible, and they're not movies. These are just moments from movies.
Right.
So without further ado, let's get started with our top 5 stormy moments of the 80s with number 5.
Number 5.
I give you the 1989 movie Millennium.
DUA-35 Heavy, could you give me your location?
Minneapolis, we are currently heading 0.
DUA-35, turn to...
My God. Jesus, down. Go down.
For Flight 35,
We are going down.
it was the end.
Do not be afraid.
Or was it?
Walk towards the light.
What unusual facts have you developed in your investigation?
This crash has been crazy from the start.
Is there anything odd?
It's going backwards. I'm afraid I still don't know what you're driving at.
I'm simply looking for the inexplicable. I usually find it.
You're endangering a project that's bigger than you can imagine.
I know damn well we can't change the past.
Time travelers, they don't want to be found. Then you are from the future.
About 1,000 years. Sherman, send the gate.
Once in 1,000 years comes an adventure like this.
We've been expecting you.
Millennium.
Do you remember seeing this movie?
I don't remember this movie at all. You sent me the clip for this, and I had to go and look it up, and I'm reading the plot, and I'm like, this looks like something a sixth grader wrote for a sci-fi assignment.
It
just looks awful.
Yeah, it started out, I guess, in the 70s, the mid-70s as a short story, and then it got written into novel form, and it took them till the late 80s to find someone, big enough sucker to make it. The idea...
Yeah, seriously.
You haven't seen
Chris
this
Christopherson in 1989 was looking for a comebacker at any price. So
this was not it.
This wasn't it. Good try, Chris.
So the idea here is that this movie's... Convoy. It's no Convoy. Convoy is so much better.
Space Convoy, yeah.
That's an elevator pitch. The idea being that the future is sending people back to the past, i.e. present day 1989, because there's a paradox that's going to happen. Someone important to the future, something's going to happen to them. It's going to destroy the future. And so what they do is they send people back to the past, and in this case, the form of Cheryl Ladd, and they take people from planes that are about to crash, and they take them off the plane and replace them with dummies, like humanoid dummies. And they take those people and they use them to seed the future beyond the time quakes that happen after the paradox. So
Time Quake,
which would have been a much better name for the. I would have watched this movie a lot earlier.
Yeah, Time Quake sounds interesting.
Why not?
You know what? It kind of reminds me of. Did you ever see Free Jack?
Yeah, it's like that. Yes.
You know, Free Jack is just outside the 80s, and it's terrible.
No, it's really bad.
But Emilio Estevez is a race car driver who's basically about to die in some crazy fiery crash, and he is sucked out and brought into the future so they can, I don't even remember, they can harvest his organs or something, or they can move
Mick Jagger's
consciousness into his young body or something. Look, folks, Mick Jagger doesn't need that. He's doing fine. Mick Jagger doesn't need help. But
Mick Jagger's going to outlive Emilio Estevez.
It seems similar to that kind of like.
It is. It's a. When I say this movie is a disaster, I mean the movie is a disaster.
It's not just about a disaster.
I don't know. I didn't even bother to do the research to see what kind of reviews it got. It just doesn't look good or play good, and yet it still gets. I still see it show up on cable TV more often than movies that are 10 times better. I don't understand what that's all about. Yeah.
Huh.
So anyway, you can find it. I know I've seen it on HBO. I know I've seen it on other cable channels. Millennium from 1989, and that's so. Is it a man-made disaster or a natural disaster? I mean, that's kind of like for the future philosophers to argue over. In the meantime,
aren't men part of nature?
Yes,
Spearsy. Are we not part of the grand experiment?
I hope so. In any case, let's move on to number 4.
Number 4.
Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
Spock. As suspected, the probe's transmissions are the songs sung by whales.
Whales?
Specifically, humpback whales.
That's crazy. Who would send a probe hundreds of light years to talk to a whale?
It's possible. Whales have been on Earth far earlier than man.
10 million years earlier, and humpbacks were heavily hunted by man. They've been extinct since the 21st century. It is possible that an alien intelligence sent the probe to determine why they lost contact.
My God.
Spock, could the humpback's answer to this call be simulated?
Sounds, but not the language. We would be responding in gibberish.
Does the species exist on any other planet?
Negative. Humpbacks were indigenous to Earth. Earth of the past.
Well, there's no choice. We must destroy the probe before it destroys Earth.
To attempt to do so would be futile, Admiral. The probe could render us neutral easily.
We can't just turn away. There must be an alternative.
There is one possibility, but of course I cannot guarantee success. We could attempt to find some humpback whales.
You just said there aren't any, except on Earth of the past.
Yes, Doctor. That is exactly what I said.
Well, in that case... Now wait just a damn
Spock,
minute.
Start your computations for time warp.
That's so good, Steve. It's so good.
I love it. Is it wrong to love Star Trek IV, a.k.a. the whale movie?
If it's wrong to love Star Trek IV, then Spearsy, I don't want to be right. I don't want to be part of this experiment. Put me on Control Earth instead of Experiment Earth.
So remember, only the even-numbered Trek movies are any good. So 2, 4, 6, et cetera, et cetera. And so that leaves us with the tale of Earth, unable to negotiate with a foreign probe that is tearing up the planet's oceans and threatens to leave the entire planet in ruins unless Starfleet Federation can figure out a way to communicate with it. Turns out, Mr. Spock, freshly revived from the grave.
He's feeling good. His brain's firing.
Yeah. He's got, far less
He's
wild
got his
turkey
white robe.
He figures it out that the when you listen to the probe's communications underwater, which is where they're aimed, it replicates the sound of a humpback whale.
Captain, signals indicate humpback whale song.
Right. So basically, not the Enterprise, because they're aboard a Klingon bird of prey.
Bird of prey.
They have to do time travel to go back to 1980s, where everything is right in the world, and find.
I understand it's tricky to do the time travel.
It is. They find 2 humpback whales and they bring them back, and everything's fine. So
the rain stops.
The rain stops. Trust me,
weather control.
If I knew this was possible, I would have rounded up a couple of manatees and a dolphin to save us from Irma. Did you? I don't know what kind of news coverage you got on California, but that was a problem here in Florida with the storm surge and like bays of water being sucked out, and people can actually walk across. But the problem was that manatees and dolphins were beaching themselves.
Oh gosh!
And so people were having to go out there and do what they could to save them. And move them.
Manatees are huge too. It's not like you can just pick it up and drag it.
Right? No, I don't know what they did. I didn't even want to read the story, to be honest. It was when you have no power and you're sweating to death and you're taking. I swear to God, I took 10 showers on Monday.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, and I mean, save the manatee. Come save me.
Yeah, someone pour some water on me and cover me with wet towels. That was about the only way I was going to make it through. That's the only way I made it through the heat, was because it was 91 degrees outside, and the water still works, so I was able to take showers, but that's about it. So I took like one every other hour.
It's like, I'm bored, take a shower.
Yeah. So anyway, Leonard Nimoy directed Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. I don't know that the critics loved it. I know that hardcore fans are somewhat split on it, because it's definitely a happier, feel-good type of Star Trek movie. But I love it. I'll watch it every time it comes on.
I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I love the just the interplay with the characters, and they're just so kind of guileless in the 80s San Francisco, and the like the double dumbass on you thing. Like I'm going to swear back at you. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm going to say it. And of course, Spock giving the neck pinch to the punker on the bus. That's amazing. That's just a great scene.
Star Trek movies just in general are better when they deal with time travel. And anytime there's a shift in the time-space continuum, a Star Trek movie or episode is better. That's just a fact. Scientifically proven.
I'm on board with that fact.
Unlike the number 3 movie on our list. Here we go.
Number 3.
From 1988, The Great Outdoors.
How you doing?
Well, it ain't raining. So that's
Yeah, I guess so.
You fellas met Reg?
No, I don't think so. How you doing? Roman Creed. Pleased to meet you.
Chet Ripley. How do you do?
There's quite a hairdo you got going there, Reg. You don't have a neo-skunk thing? Or...
Roman, what are you doing?
Well, he's got the hair.
Well, you don't have to say it.
His hair turned white because lightning hit him. Yeah. He's been struck by lightning. How many times is it now, Reg?
6
times.
66 times.
66 times. God, that's gotta hurt.
I don't care what you say, Brad. When you've been hit 66 times in the head by lightning, you're having a worse day than I had.
I would say so, yeah. And it did some funny things to his hair.
Yeah. This movie kind of, you still see it every once in a while. It pops up on cable.
Yeah, not all the time, but you do see it. And it's, I don't know, it's funny. That scene, just the short scene before that with Aykroyd and Candy, you're just like, oh my gosh, they're both so young.
Yeah. Dan Aykroyd and John Candy. This was, 1988. So it just has all the feel of a feel-good family movie where you don't necessarily, you think you know where the plot's going, but it doesn't. And it's definitely going to be one of John Candy's most lovable roles. I don't even know if there's really a role that you can point at for John Candy where you say he's not lovable, but
yeah, that's kind of that's kind of the space he occupied. But it's funny because when I watch this clip, I'm like, that guy's familiar. What have I seen him in? And sure enough, that's Gary's dad from 16 Candles.
Gary's dad is Reg?
Yeah. Who's Gary?
Mom, I was not tossing off.
I was combing my hair, and I hate compliments. Yeah. Oh, man. So here's a story. I met a woman one time who'd been hit by lightning.
Really?
Yeah. So I was running a marathon. So I'm like at about mile 13 or 14 where everything's feeling good and you're like, oh, this is not a problem. And the thing about when you're doing that is you're kind of looking for things to distract you a little bit from the stupidity of signing up for a marathon. Yeah. And so I will chat with anybody. And so you're running along and you kind of run with people for a while. And this woman and I get to talk and she's like, oh yeah, I got hit by lightning. I was supposed to actually be doing a triathlon today, but I couldn't finish. And I'm like, what? So she was telling me the story. She was riding her bike in Colorado doing training and basically woke up on the side of the road with a burn mark on her ankle.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like a spot where it left her body. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. She's like, yeah, I'm going to get a tattoo of a little lightning bolt there. I'm like, okay, I'm not really interested in putting tattoos on my body, but that's a pretty cool idea.
But did she say there were any other side effects or anything?
No, she was in the hospital for a couple of days. And then, she was really proud. Like, I was on 47 local news channels and, I was interviewed by, all these different organizations. And so then, of course, because I'm always looking for the pun in life, when I got home, I looked up her name and found her time and saw that I had beaten her, which means that I, Steve, am faster than lightning.
Oh, I knew it. I could see it coming. I'm like, where's he going with this?
Yeah, you knew. Everyone knew. Thank you for indulging me. I appreciate that.
We let these things happen. Meanwhile, let's go on to number 2.
Number 2.
People never think of it as an 80s movie, but it does squeak in there in 1980. Caddyshack. I would love to actually play the full clip of this great scene where, it's obviously Bill Murray and the Bishop playing golf in the rain, but it goes on forever. And
yeah, it is a long scene. And
you all know how it
ends. A little bit of that is the pre-MTV edit sensibility where they let things run a little bit longer.
Right. I don't know that a week goes by where I don't say, rat farts at the top of my lung, and everybody kind of looks at me like, nobody gets it.
Yeah,
nobody gets it.
You need a higher class of coworkers.
Well, they're all like in their 20s here, so I'm screwed.
You need to have like cultural awareness lunches where you show them important movies.
Well, what's funny is they do know some 80s movies. Like they all know The Last Starfighter.
Okay, interesting choice.
They can quote that all day long.
Actually, I think Gary's dad is in Last Starfighter too.
Oh no, we got to get. I wonder if he's still alive. Can we get him on the show?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
You're like, what? Stuck in
the 80s.
I'm
sorry. So they all know.
They know Last Starfighter. They know Blade Runner. They know the classic sci-fi movies of the 80s because they're nerds.
Okay.
Same as me.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So they're that special class of people.
Right. You start rolling out, you start trying to quote Spies Like Us and stuff like that. Forget it.
I was going to hook your family up with the Disney Channel for free, but you can forget about that. Yeah.
There is one movie from the 80s that they can quote from very mightily, and it's the number 1 pick on our list of top Stormy moments of the 80s.
Number 1.
1985's Back to the Future.
Marty, I'm sorry, but the only power source capable of generating 1.21 gigawatts of electricity is a bolt of lightning.
What did you say?
A bolt of lightning. Unfortunately, you never know when or where it's ever going to strike.
We do now.
This is it. This is the answer. It says here that a bolt of lightning is going to strike the clock tower at precisely 10:04 p.m. next Saturday night. If we could somehow harness this lightning, channel it into the flux capacitor, it just might work. Next Saturday night, we're sending you back to the future.
See, so not all natural disasters in the 80s were bad.
Yeah, I mean, the lightning is a major character in this movie, in the whole series, honestly.
Yeah. Without the great Hill Valley thunderstorm on the night of, anyone?
Gosh, I know it was 1955.
November 12th, 1955.
Oh, very good. You know your history.
Marty McFly would never have made it home. So
that's heavy.
Yeah, there we go. That's the other line everybody knows.
What, is there something wrong with the podcast gravitational force?
There's a lot of things wrong with the podcast. This is the first time I've ever recorded a show from the office.
Oh, really? I do it all the time.
I'm the only one here. It's pretty late at night here in Orlando. I should be home with my bottle of liquor. But instead we have some unfinished business. The Seggies. The familiar tones of I Want My Mystery TV theme song. I can't believe I actually got that right without having it written down.
You are a marvel, Steve Spears.
My notes are very sparse today. My desk is littered with prescription bottles.
Empty ice trays.
Empty ice trays. There's some mustard that I, for some reason, bought and have left in my office for the last 3 days as I've been eating sandwiches and stuff like that. And
seemed like a good idea at the time.
You try going down hot food for 4 or 5 days. It's fun.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, you know the drill. Hill. We're going to play a bit of a theme song from the 80s. If you get it right, you're entered into the drawing for some swag. The last time we did this show, it was a puzzler. Here's the clip. Yes, that's Spencer for Hire. Brad Williams gets the blame or the credit if you didn't get this one right because he picked it.
Hey, Robert Urich, he's a pretty well-known guy.
I didn't watch this show at all.
I was going to go with Vegas, but that's more 70s than 80s.
Yeah. I don't know that I would have known that one either.
Yeah. Well, so Spencer for Hire, for those of you who didn't do your homework, mystery TV series is based on a series of novels written by Robert Parker. And it was developed for TV by John Wilder and starred Robert Urich, as we mentioned. And it was on ABC from 85 to 88.
You say John Wilder, I'm like, I just want to go, John Wilder?
John Wilder? The John Wilder?
The John Wilder?
John Wilder? The John Wilder?
Yeah, so this, I did okay. It was entertaining. It was really expensive to make, which is one of the reasons it got canceled. It was shot on location in Boston, so... they were spending a lot of money on permits and, kickbacks to the local constabulary.
Well, as we all know from our recent history, nothing good comes from Boston.
Oh.
So take a deep breath and tell us who the winners were.
Okay, the winners this week are, they do not include, they are Dave, Augie, August.
One winner?
One winner.
There can be only one.
I'm assuming that nobody emailed me directly with the answer because like I said, no email, counting on Brad to carry the water on this one. So I'm not surprised. That's a tough one.
I'm not spinning the wheel. Dave, send me a mailing address. I'm saving my shoulder for next week.
Okay. Save your shoulder for this one. Here we go. Here's this week's mystery TV clip. If you know it, email us at podcast@sit80s.com and tune in next week to find out if you are the winner. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
I'm in no shape for physical fitness.
All you need is a shower.
I need more than a shower.
You still don't feel better? Try this soap. It's Coast.
Gee, Coast smells sensational. And it feels sensational. Look at all this lather. I do feel better.
It'll be even easier next time.
No other soap picks you up quite like Coast, the eye-opener.
So we're back, and from what I understand, aside from Hurricane Irma news, there's another cataclysmic event about to happen. You're about to become an empty nester, Brad.
Yeah, this weekend we are taking my daughter to college, packing up the car, packing up the family truckster.
You're driving her? You're not flying?
Yeah. No, it's not that far. I mean, it's far enough, but it's just easier with all the stuff to just load up the family minivan and drive. So, like, tomorrow I will be sitting in the passenger seat of the car working, so I don't have to take a vacation day.
Oh, my God. So, what did you buy her ahead of time? Did you get the mini fridge ahead of time?
Oh, my gosh. Pretty much everything but the mini fridge. Both of her roommates, she's in every room, we've talked about this, every dorm room that you and I ever lived in that was for 2 people now has 3 people in it. So, both of her roommates live within 30 miles of campus, so I basically said to her, I'm okay buying one, but could you have one of them do it since they don't have so far to go? I mean, like, I don't have any interest in owning another mini fridge at the end of this. So, like, find out what a third of it is and we'll just write them a check or hand them cash and make it go away.
Yeah. They're not that pricey, but
no, they really aren't. I mean, for $150 you can get a refrigerator and a microwave and be done with it.
You should see my niece's fridge that she got for college. It's almost the size of a full fridge and freezer.
Wow.
And it's like 2/3 of the size.
Yeah, they are bigger than back in the day when they were like little 1.5 cube things. So, but yeah, I mean, we pretty much have everything. It's not like when we took my son to school and we bought everything on site and just like we're roaming the aisles of Target with all the other families trying to get it was like trying to beat them to the closet organizers and the hangers and the, whatever other crap you needed to get them set up. Oh, you need a couple power strips. Oh yeah. Don't forget the lava lamp. Oh, we got to get a lava lamp.
You didn't get a lava lamp, did you?
Cameron really wanted a lava lamp, so it was $10 at Target. So you know what? Sure, kid, have a lava lamp. If it makes you happy, not a problem.
Oh, really? Well, I'm impressed that you would do that.
He had one when he was a little kid, so it was kind of a fond memory for him.
I'm just kind of curious what else these days kids would have in their dorm room that we had in our dorm room in the 80s. Like, did they have I had a black light, but I don't think my parents approved of that.
I don't think that's a thing anymore. No. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember. The stuff we got is all like so super practical. But there were also like this summer, Society 6 was running all these wall hanging sales. So both of my kids picked out like cool art to hang on their wall. And actually, Cameron did this really cool thing with CD cases where he basically made a mosaic of CDs on the wall behind his desk.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's like electric kettle. You want an electric kettle? I mean, like, okay, it's very practical stuff. I'm sure that the crazy stuff happens after mom and dad leave.
Yeah. Well, that'd be fun. I'd be curious to see how you are after you're finally, at home with no kids.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't remember if I talked about this, but the most emotional moment when we dropped off my son was when my daughter went to hug him goodbye and she just broke down. She was just weeping. And I don't think they're twins. I know I've mentioned that, but I don't think she'd really thought about the fact that she wasn't going to see him every day, or she wasn't letting herself, like just kind of holding that back. And then when the hug came, it was like, oh, and poor Cameron. I'm standing on, with Cameron's facing me, and he looks at me with the classic, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, dude, look, like, I have no idea what's happening. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, just keep hanging on there. Just keep hanging on. It's fine. So I'm not sure what's gonna. I don't know. I mean, they're both ready to go, but I think that Claire is, a little bit more connected to home and is gonna, has expressed more that she's, like, oh, I'm a little worried about missing you guys, and so hopefully that's not too, too intense. But if it is, it is. I'll let you guys know.
Well, anybody who thinks that Brad's going to have so much free time on his hands that we're going to start doing daily podcasts, they're out of their minds.
You are nuts.
Not happening. Stop asking me the question.
Well, once a week is about the most we can possibly handle.
You know what they say? Once a king, always a king, but once a night is enough.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks to everyone who's been messaging me and emailing me, asking how I was, and seeing if there's anything you can do. There's really not. I mean, it's just when you're in a situation like these hurricanes, you just to quote REO Speedwagon, you just ride it out. But we hope at least you had some fun with this week's topic. We'll be back next week. We promised at some point we were going to do a show to try to make Brad feel even worse and talk about like favorite mopey moments of the 80s. But we'll see how that comes to pass. We'll also be coming back with Jen's trivia game, Jen with one N, the trivia game that we started last week. We got a lot of positive feedback on that. She's already come up with the questions for the next time she's on the show.
Oh, man. I'm sure she's already sent them to you, Steve.
No. Why would you say that's the meanest thing you've ever said to me? It's actually probably not.
It's the meanest thing you've ever heard me say to you.
Yeah, but in the end, we'll just end with the meanest song you could possibly play when you're in my situation. So along with the Scorpion, Brad, and his soon-to-be empty nest, we remain here, hopelessly stuck in the 80s.
Stuck in the 80s is a member of the CLNS Media Network. Special thanks to Check Battery Daily for our theme music. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or the CLNS Media mobile app.
Yeah, I don't remember what I said.